Alright guys, we're inside the airplane, and as we see, we're gonna head out our airplane just to the left of the mountain, to the left of the peak, just like it was shown on that visual approach plate. Now we know the airport is gonna be a little bit off to the left of that peak, so as soon as we pick up the airport visually, we're gonna start little adjustments so we put ourselves in a position to overfly that runway and enter the traffic pattern. Now how do we know the airport is over there? Well, remember those two things that we talked about during the approach plate briefing? One is the familiarity with the area. Once we know the area and we're more familiar with it, it improves our judgment. So I'm familiar with the area. I've already flown into this airport in Microsoft Flight Simulator a few times, so that's how come I recognize the peaks and the valleys and the ridges and everything else I need to know about this approach. That's why in real life, to fly into Courchevel, you actually have to be checked out to fly into that airport. Not just anybody can do it. You actually have to have a few flights into it, and then you can fly in by yourself. Cowl flaps closed, carb heat on. Otherwise you can get lost real easy, and getting lost in between mountains is not a good idea. Okay, there's the runway. Just to the left of our cowling, just above the clock. We are at 8,000 feet. We're going to maintain 8,000 feet until we start our turn to enter the traffic pattern. Okay, we can see the airport right there. Alright, let's take a little bit of power out and let's start our turn to enter the traffic pattern. We have to remember, we're going to descend down to 7,000 feet now. Now, as soon as we overfly this airport, we're going to start a left turn. We're going to find that little valley, that little gorge we need to find, and fly towards it. At this point, we'll be on that downwind part of the Courchevel traffic pattern. Now we'll fly towards that valley, towards that gorge, until the hill we have to turn to when we turn on base has passed our right wing. Okay, we're over the airport. Let's start heading out. Coming up on 7,000 feet. Okay, and there's that little valley. You can see that little gorge. Alright. Let's roll out. Let's maintain 7,000 feet. See, we gotta add more power in these turns, otherwise we lose too much altitude. That's something to keep in mind. Now we are on sort of that downwind part of the traffic pattern. Okay, let's look off to our right. That guy's head is in it. That's kind of creepy, these guys. I don't know what Just Flight was thinking. There's the... We just passed the mountain. Let's start a turn to head back towards that mountain right now. Let's make sure that we don't lose too much altitude. Add a little bit of power. Okay, the airspeed is way too low. It's below the blue line. I'm gonna add full power, and I'm gonna put the nose down. In this case, we are gonna sacrifice a little bit of the altitude for the airspeed. That's just the way it is. We get into a stall and we're dead over here. So let's have full power. Alright, the airspeed is back up, and there's the mountain. Let's start rolling out, and let's head out towards the mountain for a few seconds. This is gonna be a very short base leg. We're immediately going to start a turn onto the final. I'm still keeping in that power. We got to get some of that altitude back. Some of that altitude we lost. We're going to climb just a little bit to get back to 7,000 feet. Not every approach we do is going to be perfect. We just got to make sure we nail that landing at the end. Okay, airport in sight. Let's start rolling out towards the airport. We're only about 100 feet below now. We're fine. Okay, at this point, we're going to be at our no return point. At this point, we choose whether we are go for landing or no go for landing. We're looking good, so we're go for landing. Now that we're go, let's reduce the power and let's put full flaps in, and we're in for the ride now. Let's talk a little bit about this final approach into Courchevel. We're gonna do a short field approach in the Duchess, and that's gonna be 70 knots. Remember, during slow flight, we're gonna maintain that 70 knots using our pitch. We're gonna maintain the rate of descent using our power. So if we're low, we're gonna add power. If we're high, we gotta take the power out. Looking good so far. We're at 70. Alright, that's our final approach speed. Now, as we're doing this approach onto this runway, let's just pay attention to the power adjustments. There's going to be a lot of power adjustments. We're not going to play with the pitch too much, but we'll use our power to get us onto that runway. Power out. Touchdown, flaps up, full braking. And we are stopped. We stopped. I gotta see this from the outside. Wow, made it by a foot.